There are four types of drinks that many people over 60 consume every day, which may seem completely harmless on the surface, but in reality carry a hidden risk of sharply increasing the chances of heart attack and stroke. In this video, I will reveal the list of 4 drinks you should limit or stop immediately, along with 4 alternative choices that can help protect your heart, improve blood circulation, and naturally lower your risk of disease. Everything I share comes from serious research conducted by reputable health organizations such as Harvard University, the American Heart Association, and multiple long-term health studies on older adults. What truly concerns me is that millions of people still unknowingly drink these beverages every day without realizing they are quietly weakening their health bit by bit. Drink to avoid number 1, diet soda. Many people over 60 choose diet soda believing that no sugar and 0 calories make it better for weight control and heart health. In reality, this is one of the drinks I most often advise my patients to stop immediately. Diet soda does not contain real sugar, but it does include artificial sweeteners such as sucralose, aspartame, or acesulfame-K. While these may not cause an immediate spike in blood sugar, they can trigger silent effects in the body, especially in older adults whose cardiovascular and nervous systems are more sensitive. Large studies, including a 10-year U.S. study of nearly 750 older adults, have found that people who drink diet soda daily have waistlines over 4 times larger than those who do not. This means that even without calories, diet soda can still promote visceral fat accumulation and insulin resistance, key factors leading to high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and atherosclerosis, all major causes of heart attack and stroke. In terms of perception, diet soda delivers an artificial sweet taste and a sense of refreshment, but in people over 60, the pancreas and nervous system do not respond well to this false signal. Blood sugar may not rise immediately, but the heart and blood vessels can still be quietly damaged. I once treated a 66-year-old woman who ate a balanced diet, had a normal BMI, yet could not reduce her waist size. Her blood pressure remained high, and her fasting blood sugar was consistently slightly elevated. She insisted she never drank regular soda, only diet soda. I advised her to cut out diet soda completely for 2 months and replace it with water or unsweetened tea. The results were remarkable: reduced belly fat, stabilized blood pressure, and significantly lower blood sugar. She told me, "I never thought something without sugar could be so harmful." Cases like this are far from rare. Many older adults choose drinks they believe are safe, when in fact these beverages are silently affecting their endocrine system and cardiovascular health day after day. If you are drinking diet soda regularly, consider stopping. After 60, your heart does not need artificial sweetness, it needs natural balance to stay healthy. And this is just the first drink on the list. The next one is even more widely believed to be good for heart health to start the day. Yet blood test results and heart rate monitoring often reveal the exact opposite. Keep watching to see if it's something you might be drinking every day without realizing the risk. Drink to avoid number 2, bottled fruit juice. If you're drinking a glass of orange juice every morning thinking it's a heart-friendly habit that helps prevent stroke, I want you to take a moment and reconsider that. Fresh fruit is great, especially when you eat the whole fruit with the skin and fiber still intact. But when fruit is juiced, the fiber is removed and the sugar gets absorbed much faster. And that makes your body, especially after the age of 60, react almost the same as if you were drinking soda. One study published in JAMA Internal Medicine showed that people who drank more than 1 glass of fruit juice per day had a 24% higher risk of dying from heart problems than those who drank less, even with the same number of calories. Another study published in BMJ in 2019 showed that your body processes sugar in fruit juice and soda in almost the same way. In both cases, the sugar is absorbed very quickly, leading to a sudden spike in blood sugar, an insulin reaction, and then low-level inflammation and metabolic problems. The problem is that when you drink fruit juice, even if it's natural orange juice, your body doesn't recognize it as vitamins or minerals.
It sees it as pure glucose with no fiber and no anti-inflammatory support. And the result is a spike in blood sugar. Glycation reactions create AGEs, which stiffen the arteries. LDL gets oxidized, leading to plaque buildup, high blood pressure, and increased risk of heart attack and stroke. I once had a 71-year-old male client who felt tired in the morning. His blood pressure was unstable and his LDL was slightly high. He was proud of quitting coffee and switching to orange juice every morning. But his fasting blood sugar didn't improve and his CRP levels stayed high. I told him that eating a whole orange gives you fiber that slows down sugar absorption. But one glass of juice is made from 3 to 4 oranges with no fiber, and all that sugar goes straight into the bloodstream. He agreed to switch to eating whole oranges. After 4 weeks, his blood sugar dropped by almost 15 points, and the morning fatigue disappeared. There's no drink that sounds healthy but causes hidden inflammation quite like bottled fruit juice. The risk of heart disease and ischemic stroke doesn't always come from something complicated. Sometimes it starts with the glass of orange juice you thought was protecting your heart. I've met hundreds of clients who were sure they were drinking healthy until the test results said otherwise. And if you think you've been careful with your drinks, stay with me, because the next one I'll share is something many people only add for flavor, but your body doesn't ignore it so easily.
Drink to avoid number 3. Artificial coffee creamer. If you have a habit of drinking coffee every morning and adding a bit of creamer to make it sweeter or richer, I suggest you pause and take a closer look at what's actually in the creamer you're using. I'm not talking about black coffee. Black coffee isn't the problem. The issue lies in the liquid or powdered creamers that many people use every day. These products often contain trans fat and industrial additives like titanium dioxide. Trans fat is made by partially hardening vegetable oils to make products last longer and have a thicker texture. But it's one of the most harmful types of fat for the heart. It raises LDL, lowers HDL, and causes inflammation in the blood vessels. That's why the U.S. Food and Drug Administration officially removed trans fat from the list of safe ingredients in 2013. However, what's concerning is that trans fat can still be found in many packaged products, either in small amounts or without having to be clearly labeled. And for those who drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, each with 1 spoon of artificial creamer, the amount of trans fat slowly adds up over time, and that becomes significant. I remember a 70-year-old male client who came to my clinic with unstable blood pressure. His diet was fine. He didn't eat salty food, fried food, or drink alcohol, but his blood pressure was still hard to manage. When I asked in more detail, I found that he drank 3 cups of coffee daily, each one with liquid vanilla creamer. I simply asked him to switch to regular milk or a creamer without hydrogenated oil. After 3 weeks, his blood pressure dropped by 12 points. No new medication, no other changes. That shows how even the smallest daily habit can quietly damage your blood vessels and heart. Besides trans fat, many coffee creamers also contain titanium dioxide, an additive used to give a smooth white color. Animal studies have shown that regular exposure to this ingredient can affect liver function and metabolism. You may believe 1 small spoon a day isn't a big deal, but after 60, the smallest things can cause the biggest harm to your heart. Don't look away, because what I'm about to share next is even more important. Drink to avoid number 4. Energy drinks. Many people believe that energy drinks are a quick way to regain alertness and focus, especially in the morning or before exercise. But what few people talk about is that after the age of 60, your heart no longer responds well to strong stimulation like that. 1 can of energy drink can contain anywhere from 160 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, equal to 4 or 5 cups of strong coffee. And it's not just caffeine. These drinks often include refined sugar, taurine, guarana, and other stimulants, all mixed together to create a feeling of fake energy. And the problem doesn't stop there. Energy drinks usually come in aluminum cans with BPA lining, a chemical that has been linked to higher blood pressure just hours after consumption. A study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association tested healthy adults. After just one can of energy drink, their heart rate and blood pressure increased significantly and stayed high for more than 6 hours. For older adults, the heart and blood vessels are much more sensitive. A long-lasting increase in heart rate and high blood pressure can trigger a heart attack or stroke right away. A colleague of mine in the emergency room once told me about a typical case. A man in his 60s drank 2 cans of energy drink before working out. Less than 20 minutes later, he collapsed right there in the gym. When he got to the hospital, his heart rate had shot up to 160. His blood pressure went over 180, and he had an irregular heartbeat that needed urgent treatment. He didn't drink alcohol, didn't smoke, and had a fairly balanced diet. But just 2 cans of something that seemed harmless pushed his heart into real danger. And he's not the only one. The heart after 60 can't handle that kind of artificial push anymore, especially when it comes from high-dose caffeine mixed with sugar and stimulants. That short burst of energy can come at the cost of a real heart attack. There are drinks that make you feel strong for a few minutes but leave damage for hours. And now we've gone through 4 drinks to avoid after the age of 60. But don't go just yet. What really matters now is what you should be drinking to protect your heart every day.
Drink to choose number 1. Green tea. Green tea is one of the most studied drinks when it comes to heart benefits and overall health in older adults. It's not just a healthy alternative to coffee. Green tea contains plant-based compounds that support strong antioxidant effects and improve how blood vessels function. Inside green tea is a group of antioxidants called catechins. One specific type, EGCG, has been shown to help lower inflammation, stabilize blood vessel walls, and reduce the damage caused by LDL cholesterol. When LDL gets damaged, it builds up in the arteries and becomes one of the main reasons for clogged vessels, which increases the risk of heart attack and ischemic stroke. A study in Japan followed more than 40,000 adults. It found that those who drank at least 3 cups of green tea a day had a 26% lower risk of dying from heart problems. This effect was even more clear in people over 60, when blood vessels start to weaken with age. Green tea also helps the blood vessels relax naturally, supports balanced blood pressure, and lowers the chance of clots. This is a key factor in preventing both heart attack and stroke. Mrs. Marie, age 68, used to drink coffee in the afternoon and often felt her heart racing and couldn't sleep at night. I advised her to switch to mild green tea with no sugar. After just 2 weeks, she slept better and her heart no longer beat so fast. After 3 months, her triglyceride levels dropped by almost 30 points with no change in medication. When combined with a balanced diet, green tea can be a simple but powerful way to protect your heart. Not everyone over 60 needs to start with medicine. Sometimes just choosing the right drink each day is a meaningful way to take control. You don't always need a big change to see real results. 1 cup of green tea in the afternoon may help your heart more than any strong prescription. But if you're looking for something that also refreshes and gives your blood vessels the vitamins they need, keep watching. Drink to choose number 2. Warm lemon water. Among many ways to take care of the heart for people over 60, lemon water might be the one that gets overlooked the most, because it's too simple, too easy to find, and doesn't seem strong enough. But for me, it's a very valuable choice if used the right way and consistently. Lemon is a natural source of vitamin C with strong bioactive effects. Vitamin C not only helps boost your immune system, but also supports the blood vessel walls, helps your body build collagen, reduces inflammation, and improves how your blood vessels work. That function is especially important in managing blood pressure, preventing clogged arteries, and lowering the risk of heart problems. A review of more than 29 studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that taking vitamin C every day may help lower systolic blood pressure by an average of 3.8 millimeters Hg, reduce CRP, and improve circulation in people at higher risk of heart problems. All of these are directly linked to the chance of heart attack and stroke. I had a 65-year-old female client who didn't have any major illness but often felt tired, had poor digestion, and unstable blood pressure. I didn't give her any medicine. I simply suggested she drink a glass of warm water with half a lemon every morning on an empty stomach. After just 1 month, her blood test showed a slight drop in CRP, the inflammation marker. Her blood pressure became more stable, and the tired feeling in the morning clearly improved. She told me she felt lighter, more awake, and less irritated during the day. The vitamin C in lemon may not be medicine, but it helps keep the blood vessels stronger, gently lowers inflammation, and supports overall balance in a natural way. At age 60 and beyond, your body doesn't need more pressure from medicine. It needs more support from the small things. You don't need expensive products. Sometimes a slice of lemon in the morning is enough to soften your heart. But if you're looking for something warm and naturally calming, the next part is for you.
Drink to choose number 3. Turmeric milk. Turmeric milk, also known as golden milk, is a traditional drink that has been used in Indian healing practices for thousands of years. Today, more and more modern studies show that it's not just a relaxing drink, but also a good choice for heart and circulation health, especially after the age of 60. The main active part of turmeric is curcumin. Curcumin has strong calming effects on the body and can lower the activity of things that cause inflammation, like NF-kappa, interleukin, and TNF-alpha. It also helps the body fight damage, supports how blood vessels work, and helps keep blood pressure steady. These are key parts of what affects the chance of heart attack and stroke in older adults. One study published in the American Journal of Cardiology showed that people who took curcumin regularly had better blood vessel flexibility and lower CRP levels. Other studies also found that curcumin may lower bad cholesterol and improve blood flow to the brain in people over 60. I know a woman who lives a simple life. She didn't take sleep pills or drink strong tea or coffee at night, but she often said her sleep wasn't deep. She felt heavy and tired in the morning, especially in her shoulders and back. She said she didn't have any real illness, just that her body didn't feel light anymore. She started looking into things on her own and decided to try drinking a warm glass of turmeric milk before bed. She used plain almond milk, added a bit of turmeric powder, fresh ginger, cinnamon, and black pepper to help her body absorb the turmeric better. After about 2 weeks, she started to sleep more deeply. She woke up feeling better, with less back pain, and no longer felt pressure in her head like before. After 1 month, the habit became something she didn't want to give up. To others, it might be just a drink, but to her, it was a way for her body to feel balanced again. And most importantly, she didn't need pills. No side effects, no big cost, just a simple, gentle choice before bed each night. Sometimes you don't need medicine to sleep better. You just need something that helps calm the body, lowers hidden problems, and gently protects your heart from the inside. And if you think heart-friendly drinks are always boring, what comes next might surprise you. Drink to choose number 4. Red wine. In many Mediterranean regions, older adults still keep the habit of having a small glass of red wine with dinner. They live long, have fewer heart problems, and often stay calm and clear-minded well into their 70s or 80s. It's not a coincidence that many modern studies are now paying attention to the link between red wine and heart health. The key isn't the wine itself, but how it's used, in the right amount, at the right time, and as part of a balanced lifestyle. Red wine contains resveratrol, a natural compound found in the skin of red grapes. This compound has been shown to fight cell damage, support the inner lining of blood vessels, block damage to LDL cholesterol, and calm down low-level inflammation. These are all important factors related to the chance of heart attack and stroke. Besides resveratrol, red wine also has flavonoids and quercetin. These plant compounds support blood flow, gently relax the blood vessels, and help lower the chance of clots. When used the right way, red wine can help keep the blood vessels soft, steady the blood pressure, and lower the chance of clogged arteries.
A study published in the journal Nature showed that people who drank about 150 ml of red wine a day had nearly 30% lower risk of dying from heart problems than those who didn't drink or drank too much. However, this benefit disappears completely if the amount goes beyond what's recommended. After age 60, the liver and heart become more sensitive to alcohol. Even a small amount over the limit can quickly turn the good into a burden. Higher blood pressure, poor sleep, and trouble with body balance are common problems when it's used the wrong way. A small glass of red wine, paired with a meal that includes good fats and fiber, is the ideal way to bring out its helpful parts without putting pressure on the heart. The key is balance, patience, and knowing your body's own limits. In the world's longest-living communities, red wine isn't just a drink. It's a sign of togetherness, of slow dinners, and of a way of life where the heart doesn't live under constant stress. Many people over 60 still believe they're drinking just enough. But if your heart has been giving you signals, maybe that enough isn't quite right. And you'll want to hear the final message I'm about to share. Some of the drinks you have every day might be quietly putting pressure on your heart. And there are also simple choices that can help protect your heart naturally and steadily after the age of 60.
If you found the information in this video helpful, click like to help spread knowledge about heart attacks and strokes to more people. Because sometimes just one timely reminder can help someone avoid a serious health event. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll always be the first to receive the latest content on heart health, balanced nutrition, and healthy living. I also look forward to reading your comments, whether it's a question you've been wondering about, a valuable tip you've used, or a personal story related to protecting your heart and preventing stroke. Every share can become a source of inspiration and motivation for someone else. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video, and I wish you not only a strong heart, but also the optimism to fully enjoy every moment of life.